30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
I guess that would be time for me to come on. Why is it I'm not hearing anything in here?
We'll have to get that figured out, George.
Okay, well, then I'll take these off for the moment. Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. I would call it a cloudy, overcast Friday in Nashville, Tennessee. The good news, it's the weekend. The good news, I'm going to the Billy Joel concert tonight. I am looking forward to that. I think he is a terrific entertainer. It's certainly my era of music. And so let's get on with it. Apparently we got some problems, but Billy, let's be honest. Kelly isn't here, and that's good for you because of Kelly, you've taken on some water this week.
Yes, to say the least. I've taken on, I might need a bigger boat, George. But no, it's good whenever we got David here. You know, David's running the show as always. But
so you're trying to pawn off any problems on him.
That's what I'm trying to do today.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But no, I thought David did a good job without me. So I don't know what Kelly was ripping him for.
I want both of you all, I want to get this out here right off the bat. I was 0-2 last night in Plaster Bets of the Day. I want all of y'all to know what it took to beat me. First of all, in the hockey game, it took four overtimes.
Quadruple.
The sixth longest
you're right.
NHL playoff game ever.
Ended at 2:00 in the morning.
That's what it took to beat me. And then the Nuggets lost the bet by a half point.
That was a bad beat.
That sucked.
Were you nervous that they were trailing that entire game pretty much? Then they go on that run in the fourth quarter.
You know, who would know that Jamal Murray would turn into Kevin Durant in the fourth quarter? He was unbelievable.
23.
I'm going to take your joke. He just scored again, by the way.
He did just score again, if anybody wants to know. Look, we all know where this is headed. The Lakers are going home. That crowd is going to be energizing. And the Lakers need it right now because LeBron looked like he was 38 last night in the fourth quarter.
You see him miss the dunk as well?
Yeah, the dunk, the layup where he goes kind of underneath and then around. They need the Lakers need kind of a shot of adrenaline right now. I think they'll get it tomorrow night. I don't think this is going to be some 4-0 sweep.
Where was Anthony Davis last night? He was
witness protection program.
He was non-existent offensively, and he was shooting threes in the fourth quarter. That's not his game. He needs to get in the post and make some work down there. But he was 2-11 from what I saw at some point. That's not good. That's not going to cut it. He's got to be their best player offensively for them to go as far as they want to go.
You know, this is kind of a strange deal where when he's been good, he's been really good. And I'm fiddling around because sometimes I'll hear you all and sometimes I won't. This is not good. Anyway, if you consider Anthony Davis a superstar, and there is no doubt he has superstar talent, he's got to do it every night. And he's not doing it every night. And I think people are scratching their heads and don't understand why.
Well, you say every night. It is a 7-game series, right? And you can afford some losses. I think these are the two games, if you're the Nuggets or if you're the Lakers, that, you know, these are the ones, if you're going to pick two to lose, those two are the ones to lose. You don't want to lose at home, right? And then you turn around, you got another game later in the series at home, another opportunity. So I just think the Lakers it's do or die at this point. I mean,
game 3 is it.
It's a must win.
Oh, absolutely. Just like tonight is for Boston.
George, you're right. I mean, that's the problem with Anthony Davis. For as talented as he is, he scores 40 points in game one. You think he's the best player on the floor, really, besides Nikola Jokic. Yesterday, he was nothing. Rui Hachimura was their guy last night.
What? Okay, I'm hearing you.
Are you hearing
me? But
me?
I'm not hearing me.
Okay, we'll figure it out in the break.
Okay, that'll be wonderful. So
you want to get to the update, George?
To heck with these. Sure, why not?
Okay, y'all just talked about it.
Anthony Davis had 18 points. I know you're about to ask that. 18.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not like that's awful, but for them, it would feel to me like he and LeBron have got to have 50 plus for that team to beat Denver.
That's
by the
what
way,
it's feeling like.
I'm going to stick with it. Denver's the best team right now in the NBA.
They combined had 40 last night. LeBron with 22, Anthony with Davis with 18. That's not going to cut
So
it.
if they have 50, they probably win. I mean, there was a point where they had total control of that game.
Mm-hmm.
They're up 11, and then boom, Murray just went crazy.
And I don't know. Are you going to get that? How many more times are you going to get that fourth quarter flurry from Murray? I mean, you got to kind of ask yourself. I know it was a great performance. He's a great player. But are you going to get 23 points in the fourth quarter
but
again?
Here's the thing, Billy. When it only takes 4 to win, and you pull the chestnuts out of the fire one night, you know, what ought to be 1-1 is now 2-0. That's a huge swing.
It is. And for the Nuggets, they've got Jokic and Murray. You can have one of them go off and the other kind of lay in the weeds a little bit, and you still beat the Lakers. I'm not saying Jokic laid in the weeds, but Murray, 37 points, right? Now, if you're Jokic, you can kind of say, okay, give the ball to Murray. They can go either way with that.
Jokic is going to get his. He wasn't the storyline last night, but he had a triple-double last night. So.
Guys, I think the country is learning.
The MVP should have gone to Nikola Jokic.
This is the most underappreciated superstar in a long time. I mean, most of the country knows virtually nothing about him going into this series.
Well, he's not your normal star.
He's so quiet.
He's like a Mike Trout type of guy where he doesn't, he's not flashy. He just has a triple-double every night.
God.
I mean, it's every night.
His stat sheet numbers are ridiculous.
It's crazy. And there's nobody really talking about the Nuggets either. It's all about the Lakers. It's the Lakers narrative. What do the Lakers have to do to get back in this?
Yeah, it's kind of an America's team kind of feel to it.
And Denver's got the chip on their shoulder. They're still playing, still going. So Jokic, obviously you said it, David, 23 points, but triple-double. LeBron James was 0 for 6 from 3 in the game, 0 for 3 in the fourth quarter, 1 for 20 on threes in the fourth quarter this postseason.
Yeah, it's not good.
I don't know if he's a three. I wouldn't really call him a three-point shooter anyway.
No, but there are streaks in his game where he goes crazy and doesn't miss anything. And they need one of those.
This is a series where you need LeBron to make those threes instead of going 0 for 6. So tonight, Heat Celtics, 7:30. Heat lead the series 1-0. You're saying it's do or die?
For the Celtics, absolutely. They can't go down 0-2 at home and expect to win the series. I mean, could it happen? Yeah. Is that likely? No. They got to win tonight.
They've responded, most of these playoffs. So I would expect Boston to bounce back pretty well tonight. NHL, Panthers beat the Hurricanes 3-2 in quadruple overtime. They lead the series 1-0.
I wanted out on the record that I stayed into the third overtime. I was watching.
Late.
It was late.
That's past midnight, a little past midnight?
Yes, it was.
Man. Mm-hmm. I had a buddy up there at the game. He didn't leave the arena till about 2:30 in the morning.
It brings to mind that the Predators had a 3 overtime deal here against San Jose where from section
Fisher.
304, row 1, Fisher breaks right in front of me and scores. And it was one of the coolest things at 1 a.m. walking out of that arena, because I would say 95% of the arena stuck it out till the end.
Wow.
And it was really cool.
That's awesome. That's all. 6th longest game in NHL history, that Panthers Hurricanes game last night. So they made history.
There was about 15 years ago, there was a Philly-Pittsburgh game that went into 6 overtimes.
Oh my gosh.
Look it up. It was I mean, can you imagine
you
the level of exhaustion?
You have all the intermissions in between the overtimes too.
Yeah.
So those are full intermissions.
It's
the players
crazy.
are probably dying at each intermission.
Crazy.
Tonight, Stars and Golden Knights, 7:30. Dallas has won 4 straight games over Vegas. So they dominated Vegas in the regular season, and they'll see if they can keep it rolling. They beat Vegas in the 2020 Western Conference Finals, if you go back and remember that. So Vegas they've got every reason to be motivated here in this
All
series.
of you will breathlessly await. I have several picks today. Several.
How about that?
Yes.
Weekend plaster bets.
It's a big weekend.
David has a PGA leaderboard update for us.
You're gonna pass it off to me.
I don't have it up, so
Okay, gotcha. Corey Connors in the lead right now, tied with Scotty Scheffler at 5 under as they get underway today. That's through 6 holes so far. They're both -2. Bryson DeChambeau in lone place in a third with -4. Victor Hovland and Keegan Bradley tied for 4th, both at -3 under. Adam Stevenson, 6th place alone, -2. So that's your PGA leaderboard update.
who's your pick, George?
Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler.
Yep.
That seems to be a popular pick in this PGA Championship.
I'm going with him.
You're rolling with him?
Yeah.
Who else? Who would be your second? You like Hovland or DeChambeau's chances at all? DeChambeau's due to win one of these.
Yeah, and I mean, he's playing really well. So under the who could win it, he's definitely one that could win it.
Isn't he like one of the best drivers in today's golf game?
His
mashes.
drives are about triple mine.
It's about like Watson's.
We're just trying to get it off the ground, George. That's my
Airborne summer. That is all we're looking for. So is our update done?
No, we've got an NFL piece of news to get to.
That's wonderful.
The Steelers have signed Mitch Trubisky to a 3-year extension. Back in 2017, he was the 2nd overall pick, and he's under contract through the 2025 season. Previously, his contract ran through the end of the 2023 season and carried a $10.6 million cap hit this season. He's going to make about $8 million guaranteed in the first year of the deal. So Steelers taking a flyer.
Which is really interesting. I mean, look, he's clearly no longer going to be a starter in Pittsburgh, unless Kenny Pickett gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He's middle of the road.
That's a pretty good backup.
Not as good as, for instance, not as good as Ryan Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
But for a backup, pretty darn good.
Yeah, better than, I mean, you look at last year's Titans situation, I think they might have liked to have Mitch Trubisky in that backup
as
role.
a backup,
as opposed to
killed to have had him.
Malik Willis. George, MLB piece here. Jose Altuve has returned from the IL, and he'll make his debut tonight. Are they in Houston or in Oakland?
It's a really good question, but
good luck if they're in Oakland. That'll be a riveting crowd.
Where was it? Where has Houston been in the last week on the road? I know they were at the White Sox.
Then they played the Cubs.
I know what it was. Carlos Correa, Minnesota Twins. They were in Los Angeles, and when he would come to bat, they let him have it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, they have not forgotten that they got screwed out of a World Series by all that trash can banging.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a sounder for that in my radio days. So let's just make up one. Yeah.
That was good right there.
That was pretty good.
It sounded like a trash can.
On speed.
Exactly. Fastball.
Change up. That's your update, George.
It was award-winning. Billy,
It
thank
was.
you so much for that.
Unless you want to get to some college baseball. I know we were both at the Vandy game last night. They lost.
They got some problems.
They sure do.
They have right now played themselves out of a national seed. If the season stopped today, and lucky for them it does not, they would host an opening round weekend.
Mm-hmm.
They would not host Super Regional.
No. Unless
and they've got work to do. They got to beat Arkansas a couple of times and probably do some damage in the tournament to be a national seed. Right now, people have got them at the 10 or 11 hole.
Yep. Yeah, right around, kind of hovering around. I think they've got a tiny chance to make a top 8, but there's a lot of teams that have to lose ahead of them for them to get it. But it's crazy in baseball when your ace guy, your bulldog goes down, it just kind of changes everything. And then you've got your second best pitcher that is banged up right now, and the defense hasn't been playing as well. They're not hitting the ball. So, I mean, you go up and down the lineup, even their best hitters aren't performing right now. So
show the thing that says, here's who's coming on today.
Oh, the lineup?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't think we can show that, but
really?
Yeah. But
why not?
It can go to our Twitter and see it. Are you saying this?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So Palmer Thombs is going to Thombs. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that, Palmer. Palmer's going to join us after the break. He is from Nashville.
He's probably gotten that before, I would guess.
He might have, like I told him earlier, get out before you get in when it came to this business. Anyway, he went to Georgia, Nashvilleian, living in Athens, writing for Dawgs HQ. And by the way, they're trying to do something that not many people have done. Back to back to back.
3P.
We'll talk about it when we come back. From the beautiful Fordyce Center in Bellevue, stay with us. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
If you're looking for a football camp for your son or daughter that stresses the fundamentals and doing things right, let me suggest the Hometown Football Camp. Here's former MTSU quarterback Wes Counts.
The Hometown Football Camp is a youth football camp at Battleground Academy, June 19th through 21st. This is a working skills camp for young football players to learn proper technique and skills to prepare them for the upcoming season. Our coaches have won championships at both high school and college levels and are eager to pass along their knowledge. So if the young football player in your life wants to be successful this fall, send them to the Hometown Football Camp. Register at hometownfootballcamp.com. That's hometownfootballcamp.com.
Okay, we're headed down to Athens, Georgia. Think about what it's been like down there the last couple of years as their program has won back-to-back national titles. Man, that must be incredible. So I butchered his name earlier. Palmer Thombs is on the line with us from Athens and joins us by way of Zoom. Palmer, how you doing?
I'm doing well, George. I've been called a lot worse than Thombs over the years, so no worries there.
So, okay, so you grew up in Nashville, and your dad used to listen to me on radio. So, what did he tell you to be ready for?
Palmer Thombs calling in from a car phone.
That's a good one. It's funny. I have no idea when cell phones started to come out and, we would take cell phone calls. I have no idea why I just kept saying, James on a car phone, go right ahead. And it just stuck, and people have had a lot of fun with it.
Even if they're not on a car phone.
Billy, if I need your help, I'll ask for it. Thank you. It's the way it happened. I don't know. It stuck. And, when people laugh about goofy things that I did over the years, that's one of them.
What even is a car phone?
Well, let me say this. There used to be, at the beginning of, like, before these things, there was, back in the early 90s, what I would call one of these big old Motorola jobbies. I mean, they were big old bricks, and I had one. I got fired by Vanderbilt athletic director Paul Houlihan holding one of those. Tell your dad that one.
I sent him the link. He's listening in on his car phone.
Beautiful. What's his first name?
Dawson Thombs.
Dawson, thank you for being with us today. So, Palmer, tell us what these last 2 years have been like on that campus, because nothing, it would seem to me, unifies a campus more than something like championship runs.
No, I mean, it's been incredibly special down here in Athens. Like you said, I went to Georgia. I was a senior during that 2021 championship run. And so that was cool to see. Obviously I was working it, so I wasn't in the stands enjoying it as a fan would. But I got to see, firsthand what how the fans were enjoying it. And what it meant to not only the kids that were in Athens, but the kids at heart that had been in Athens, many years before that, because it was Georgia's first in 41 years. And so the picture you're showing is of Stetson after the 2021 national championship win over Alabama. It's been really cool to see, UGA go from the program that couldn't seem to get it done to the program that is now in, rarefied air, where you're talking, they've achieved the back-to-back title. They're the first team to do so in the college football playoff era. And now we're talking about something that hasn't happened since the 1930s, the three-peat and the possibility of that. Obviously a lot of football to go, a lot of football to be played between now and then. But I think Georgia's got as good of a chance as anyone to do it.
Proving that it's May and things get a little boring in the college football world, the big controversy this week down there was whether Stetson Bennett is a college graduate or not. Have we investigative reports determined the answer?
I don't think he is, based on the fact that that little SEC patch that you see right there on his jersey. The players that have graduated have SEC graduate underneath it. So that photo right there would have come after the winter graduation, the fall semester graduation in December. And Stetson was down in Fort Worth training, Dallas area training for the NFL draft this past semester. So don't think he's graduated. Obviously, he's got a chance to come back and should be pretty close to it with how long he's been on campus. Jake Fromm, former Georgia quarterback, just came back and graduated this past December as well, while he was playing for the Washington football team up there. So obviously something that can be done after the fact. But yeah, you're right. It certainly has sparked seeing Jalen Hurts graduate not only from Alabama, but also from Oklahoma, and seeing Stetson walk away from Athens without a degree.
Okay, before we get to the challenges of back-to-back-to-back, It seems to me that Stetson Bennett may have been done a favor in the Rams picking him because you've got Matthew Stafford, a fellow Georgia guy that would be on the surface a perfect mentor for Stetson Bennett. Can he play at that level?
I think he can. I mean, I said it as soon as he got drafted. I think that is the best possible landing spot for him because you're going into a situation, like you said, with Matthew Stafford there. It's funny. Stetson grew up idolizing Stafford, and now they're going to be teammates. They're in LA. To me, I see it as a situation where you've got a quarterback who was the only quarterback in that room. He's obviously got his injury history, a track record that sent him to the sidelines last year. He's towards the end of his career. I think he's probably pondered retirement before. And, if it didn't happen this offseason, it certainly happened after winning a Super Bowl. So he's not going to be bitter. He's not going to be, holding back trade tips there. So I think that he's going to be willing to help Stetson. I think he's going to be willing to help him not only because he's the new guy in the room, but because he's the new Georgia Bulldog in the room. And I certainly think it helps that Stetson played in an NFL system under Todd Monken at Georgia, who's now the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. I think it helps that he played around NFL caliber players and against NFL caliber players. And so, he's proven everybody wrong, countless times before. And I certainly think he can do it again in the NFL.
Palmer, under the, what are the problems when you try to go back to back to back? And not a lot of us really know because not a lot of us have experienced something like this. There did seem to be a point last year where Georgia looked bored. Do they acknowledge that, and do they worry about that this go round?
They certainly haven't acknowledged that. I think that with last year's team, it was so many new faces. 15 guys in an NFL draft record were picked in that 2022 draft. So there were so many new starters, so many new contributors on both sides of the ball. So I think from that aspect, it was guys that Kirby said weren't complacent. We're still hungry. Everybody still had that hunger. I think that this year is where it could be interesting because you've got a lot of guys that are returning from last year's team. Obviously, you're replacing their quarterback, but you've got a lot of the pieces that were around that quarterback back. Brock Bowers, 5 of the 5 starting offensive linemen from the college football playoffs, 4 of 5 that started the majority of the year. Several wide receivers that were there, running backs. They didn't lose anyone in that room. Defensively, you've got, several guys. Obviously, you lose the star power of a Nolan Smith, a Jalen Carter, a Keely Ringo, all going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's a different story. But, you lose that star power, but you've got guys like Jamon Dumas-Johnson, Smile Munden, Kamari Lassiter, Javon Bullard, Malachi Starks back. So I think that complacency, that sense of hunger could come into play this year more than it did last year. But you're right. I mean, I think that Georgia played its best games against its best competition. We saw them rise to the stage when they played in Ohio State, at TCU, and LSU. And we probably saw them fall down to their competition a little bit when they played a Missouri, Kent State. They struggled at times. Early in that Auburn game, it wasn't all so pretty. So Georgia Tech, kind of the same thing. This year, the schedule is not all that tough. They don't have an Oregon or a Clemson out of the gate. You're looking at it here. UT Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, 4 straight home games, 3 of them against non-Power 5 opponents. Probably, South Carolina could be ranked. I don't think Auburn will be. I guess they've got a shot, and Kentucky could be solid, but you could be going through the entire month of September and maybe even into November without playing a ranked opponent. So I think that's where it could come into play this year. I think it certainly helps that you're breaking in a new quarterback and a new offensive coordinator against easier competition. But I think it certainly will help record wise. Georgia should win all those games. They'll be probably double-digit favorites in all of them. But I think that you could maybe see a little bit of boredom come into play. But Kirby Smart's going to do his best to make sure that doesn't happen.
It's easy to sort of project and say, okay, one of the 2 or 3 games of the year in the SEC will be very late when Georgia goes to Knoxville to play Tennessee. Palmer, is the scenario viable that undefeated Georgia loses at Tennessee, but one loss in a back-to-back national title setup will still get them in the playoff with a chance for back-to-back-to-back?
I think it all depends on what Tennessee does, because if Georgia were to lose to Tennessee, but still make it into the SEC championship game, where they would play probably an Alabama or an LSU, they might have a shot. But I think with that schedule, probably not. You really have to. I think one loss in the SEC championship game, probably they'd still get in. Obviously, it depends on the caliber of opponent that they're playing against. So I think that they've probably got to run the table in the regular season to have a shot at that. And that's something that they've done the last 2 years. That they fell in that 21 SEC championship game to Alabama and still got a shot. Went a perfect 15-0 this past year. But I do look at that Tennessee game as the game of the year, and certainly in the SEC East and maybe in the SEC. Obviously you'd be circling LSU, Alabama on the other side as the biggest competition for game of the year. And Alabama, Tennessee as well. When we're talking about those top tier teams across the league. And hey, somebody typically comes out of nowhere. Tennessee wasn't expected to be what they were last year. LSU wasn't expected to be what they were last year. So you've typically got a team that comes out of nowhere to surprise some people and really make some noise. So, it could be a Florida, it could be Kentucky, it could be Ole Miss, Auburn in a first year. We'll have to wait and see, obviously. The schedule, as we sit here, May 19th looks pretty manageable for Georgia, at least until you get into November. But it's the SEC, and you never really know.
Okay, let's try this one. A year ago, Stetson Bennett proved to be good enough on 2 occasions that I remember to take a team that looked dead in the water and bring them back. At Missouri, when they were down huge early out of nowhere, they got hit with a Mack truck. And then Ohio State, which played brilliantly and got nothing to show for it in that semifinal game. So assuming that at some point, when you play this many games, you're likely to have to come from behind sometime, somewhere. Is there a quarterback on that campus that truly can do that?
I do think there is. I think it's Carson Beck. He really proved to be the number one guy this spring in that battle between him and former 5-star Brock Vandagriff. Beck was a high 4-star out of the Jacksonville area. Vandagriff, a 5-star from just down the road in Bogart, Georgia. I really do think that they've got a guy, if not multiple guys in that quarterback room that are capable of doing it, especially when you look at, again, the weapons that are going to be around them. You've got the best tight end that I've ever seen, walk the face of this earth in college football, in Brock Bowers. You've got outstanding receivers in Ladd McConkey and Dominic Lovett, who they brought in from Missouri, who gave them some trouble in that game. Arian Smith is a speedster that made a huge play in that game against Ohio State. So I think that they've got the weapons there. And like I said earlier, they've got 4 of 5 starting offensive linemen back from last year. Amarius Mims is somebody that's slotting in there to be a major contributor for them at right tackle. So they should have the weapons around the quarterback that are going to help that quarterback out and develop, because, you look at that early schedule, unless they're challenged by South Carolina, or Auburn, they're going to go into October, without really facing a challenge. And I think that it'll be big that they play some of those games against a UT Martin, a Ball State, a UAB, and build up some of that confidence in the quarterback and in the offensive system, new old system under Mike Bobo.
Okay, you said maybe 90 seconds ago exactly what I think about Brock Bowers. This is a kid that looked like an NFL tight end when he was a freshman, You've seen him every game. Talk to me about something freakish you've seen that has you saying this is a man amongst boys.
I mean, his catch against Florida this past year was really impressive, but maybe a little bit more lucky. It bounced off a defender's helmet. He bobbled it once or twice and ended up catching it and going the distance. But really what stands out to me, and he's done it on multiple occasions, is his breakaway speed at the size that he's got. Whether he's taking it on a handoff and going 75 yards or catching it on a slant and outrunning, safeties and linebackers and corners to the end zone. Did that against Georgia Tech in 2021, did it against South Carolina in 2022. Several times you've seen this guy get into the open field, with defenders around him and just outrun everybody. And to see a guy do that at that size, I mean, we are talking about somebody that is going to be a top 10 pick in next year's NFL draft. Just an outstanding player. My coworker, Jake Rowe over at Dawgs HQ, has made the argument that there's no more important player in Georgia football history than Brock Bowers, because he's been a major contributor on 2 national championship teams and is going to be a major contributor on a team that's expected to compete for a third.
Palmer, the general stuff is that it's very easy to say, well, gosh, they've got so much talent. Anybody can win with this, blah, blah, blah. You know better. I know better. There's a coach in here pushing some buttons really well in Kirby Smart. Talk to me about what you think are the best buttons he's pushed as a head coach.
He creates a culture of competition, and culture is a key word there, because they've really got a great culture. Not just the competition on the field, but you see connection off the field. These guys really, really care about each other. They are excited to see each other succeed. And I think in a world of college football where there's so much individualism, guys that are focused on themselves and their NIL deal and getting on the field in whatever the easiest way possible, the grass is always greener approach, to have a team that's connected in the way that Georgia has been the last few years. They know why the guy next to them is playing. They know, their family history, their story, what gets that guy going. And so, to me, I think it's the competition that he's created, through bringing in countless, talented, ungodly talented 5 stars, 4 stars, and also identifying some of those 3 stars that you've seen, blossom into great players. So it's the competition that he's created on the field, and then the connection that he's created off the field amongst this program.
Palmer, before we end this, if we can, let's show Sanford Stadium again. If there's a way to on your picture, Palmer, to the right, you've got Sanford Stadium, which there it is, which I always thought was one of the great places to broadcast a game. When I was doing Vandy, great open air press box. And then there was always Larry Munson, one booth over. Mm-hmm. And my dad and Larry Munson were big buddies. And so I was never George. I was always young Plaster. and it was always so crazy going there. And, I loved the atmosphere. Good luck on what you're doing. Tell your dad, thanks for listening. And let's do it again sometime down the road.
Absolutely, George. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you, Palmer. Good stuff. Yes.
Breaking news.
Very
unfortunate piece of news. Hall of Fame running back Jim Brown has passed away at the age of 87.
Oh, no. Wow.
Civil rights advocate, an actor, one of the most impactful and influential players in NFL history, has passed away. His wife, Monique, announced.
Wow. Let me tell you a little story about Jim Brown, because I had the fortune of meeting him and doing a 1-hour interview with him. And Willie and Darren were a part of this. I had always been told that Jim Brown was a very difficult interview, and that if you ever got the chance, beware, because it wasn't going to be easy. So I made a decision to leave the air about 20 minutes early and go down and meet Jim Brown ahead of time. And when I went to see him, I just said, look, here's my age. I'm not going to tell you that I ever saw you play, but I have watched enough. Football that I believe you're the best there ever was. And I don't know, he seemed to like that. And we had a terrific hour with him. Man, I am so sorry to hear that. We have lost not only a person off the field that mattered, because he certainly fought for the things he believed in, but maybe, depending on how you argue it, the best running back in pro football history.
He's one of the greats, and if not the great from a lot of people's perspective.
So in particular, to a younger audience that may be watching this, tonight when you go watch on SportsCenter or wherever you watch highlights, and they show highlights of Jim Brown, there will be a play in there at some point, and there were a ton of them, where you're like, how many tackles can one human being break in one play? You will find scenarios, you're going to see them over the next few days, where it looked like he may have broken somewhere between 7 and 10 tackles in one play. He
Incredible.
may be the best there ever was.
Man, praying for him and his family.
Yeah, Billy broke stage 1 of the news we had. Stage 2 for the Braves. Not good news, George. Dylan Lee heading to the injured list, 15 days, left shoulder inflammation. So bad news for that Braves bullpen.
Another pitcher down. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
okay, we'll go to the break and we'll talk about back to back when we come back. But first, let's talk about the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. It's now, about 2.5 months away. And I've tried to be honest on this. I have never been to a Grand Prix. That said, this year, I'll break that streak. I'm going. Like a lot of people, I don't quite know what to expect, but here's what I do know. People who were in the same category as me, never been to a Grand Prix, had no idea what to expect, have consistently told me that this is one of the coolest sporting events they have ever attended. So with that in mind, the tickets have gone on sale anywhere from general admission all the way up into the penthouse, so to speak. They've got all kinds of ranges. The other thing, during that 3 days, unbelievable music, just wall-to-wall activity, August the 4th through the 6th. You can get those tickets now online, musiccitygp.com. Again, that's musiccitygp.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
As most of you know, my golf game sucks, and the question is why. The answer may be determined at X Golf. X Golf is right around the corner with a grand opening that we will announce soon, and we will broadcast live from X Golf, 8127 Sawyer Brown Road at One Bellevue Place, just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. And believe me, if they can make my game better, anything is possible. So let's repeat the news that Billy brought us earlier. One of the all-time greats and maybe the best running back in NFL history, Jim Brown, passing away today at the 87. This is a huge loss in the football world. You can slice this any way you want. There have been a lot of great running backs. None have been better than Jim Brown. And when you see this weekend some of the highlight runs, you will ask yourself, is that humanly possible? Now, on to the University of Georgia. They're trying in football to go back-to-back-to-back national titles. And, you know, we were trying to think during the commercial break about back-to-back-to-backs. And to be honest, there are a few more than I thought when we went into this conversation. Billy, you've got a list of them in front of you. Go, and then let's talk through a couple of them.
Yep. The Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, 2000, 2001, 2002. The Yankees.
And in fact, help me with this.
That was something.
No, okay. That's a go ahead.
That
keep
was
going.
Something the Showtime Lakers could never do. They never went.
And in fact, when they tried to, Pat Riley copyrighted the term three-peat.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
The Yankees, of course, we all love them.
Oh,
Terry
God.
is happy about this. 98, 99, and 2000.
You know, when they beat the Braves in 99, the Friday before, the day before the series started, Joe Biddle, you know, one of my partners in crime over the years, really egged me on to get really bold on the air. And I said, this is going to be a great World Series. The Braves are good enough to go toe-to-toe with the Yankees. By the eighth inning of game one, when the Yankees scored 4 against Greg Maddux to win game 1, I remember saying to myself, this is going to be a sweep.
Well, in 2000, it was almost a sweep against the Mets. Mets only got 1 win. Derek
that was
Jeter.
where, wasn't that where Clemens and Piazza had the little thing where Piazza threw.
Yeah. Yep.
No, Clemens threw the bat chips at Piazza running down the first base line.
Did he really?
Yeah, that was classy.
Mike Stanton had 2 wins in that World Series for the Yankees. Going back to the Bulls in 96, 97, and 98.
That's one I know well because of Will Perdue.
It was Michael Jordan's last game with the Bulls, of course. Was that, I feel like an idiot asking this, that was his game-winning jump shot right at the top of the key?
Against Utah.
In 98,
yeah.
right? Yep.
Where he's sick as a dog.
Flu game. And then the Bulls again, 91, 92, 93.
That's Will's stuff. That's when they got over the hurdle of the Pistons, the bad boys.
Mm-hmm.
And
you getting a call from Will?
No, I don't think so, but thank you.
George, John Paxson, game-winning 3 in Game 6. That wrapped it up.
Yep. That was I want to say that was at old Chicago Stadium.
Had to have been.
Yeah.
And
then going.
In hockey, the Islanders in 80, 81, and 82. I didn't know that. Who would have thought?
Oh, the Islanders. The Islanders had a streak going that was impressive.
Whew. The championship, that was the 3rd of 4 in a row for New York. So, and then the Canadians, 76, 77, 78 as well. And the Oakland A's back in the early 70s.
Okay, stop there. Because there are a couple of common themes to these back-to-back-to-backs on the pro level. And by the way, I think it's harder to do it on the pro level just for the sheer number of games that you have to play. The Oakland A's of the 70s, they unified themselves in their hatred of their owner, Charles O. Finley. Look him up for a younger audience. And that Reggie Jackson, Joe Rudy, Sal Bando,
Raleigh
Catfish
Fingers,
Hunter, Raleigh Fingers, they were loaded. But their unifying force was their hatred of Charles Finley.
That sounds like an Oakland A type of hatred.
Well, it was big time. Now, you go to the Bulls, and their 2 different three-peats were, in my opinion, built around a hatred of Jerry Krause, who they nicknamed Crumbs because you could always look at his suits and see what he'd had for lunch. Interesting, Will Perdue got along with Jerry Krause.
Their head coach, right? Was that?
No, he was the GM.
Okay.
Michael Jordan hated.
Because Krause wanted all the credit. That's what came out.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
I'm an idiot.
and Scottie Pippen hated Krause.
So Krause wanted all the credit.
2 of those. Well, yeah, and then Phil Jackson came to hate Krause, even though Krause was the one that handpicked him out of minor league basketball to be the leader when they fired Doug Collins.
And they chronicled that in the
Last
documentary.
Dance.
What I got from that is
That's where I learned that.
Jerry Krause is the one who really broke up the Bulls because he didn't want to renew Phil Jackson's contract.
He did.
MJ said, if Phil's not the coach, I'm not playing.
And then they get another 3-peat later, which is unbelievable.
Well, no, this is
at the end of the second.
This is the end of it, but it's funny looking at the Last Dance. We idolized that Jordan game where he's sick as a dog against Utah. Well, he ordered pizza at 2 a.m. in Utah at the hotel, and these little kids are delivering it, and they're like looking at him funny, like, is this going to MJ? And they put something in that pizza to make him sick.
I wonder if those kids are still alive. They've had some stories.
So do you all agree with me? It's easier to 3-peat on the college level than professional?
Absolutely.
Well, I agree, but I also go to the other side of it's got to be harder to retain the core of talent in college because of graduation, because of transfers, especially in today's day and age of the transfer portal, as opposed to the pros, where you may get lucky with some contracts and they may not be up for until 3 or 4 years, and you've got them locked in. So I agree. I think it is harder in the pros because it's the pros. I mean, those are the best athletes in the world. But with the transfer portal a day and age, it might start to become a little bit harder now at the college level.
I'll put it back up here, but if you look at Georgia's schedule, I mean, look at this schedule.
Oh, I mean,
not this year for Georgia.
It is a road paved,
They only have 4 road games.
I mean, first of all, road game at Georgia Tech. That's a home game. I know I've done that game before in my lifetime. It's got a little Tennessee Vandy to it when it's in Nashville.
It sure does.
Is Vanderbilt going to be intimidating for them here in Nashville? That's a home game for them.
Well,
less seats in the stadium now, though.
Florida, Jacksonville, neutral site, 50-50.
They'll travel to.
So 2 of your road games have 50-50 or better audiences for you. I mean, that schedule is about as favorable as you could humanly draw up.
I'll say
for
this,
them to have a chance.
That Tennessee game in Knoxville.
That's where
that's going to be hard
where
to
the
win.
rubber, it would appear, will meet the road.
I disagree with Palmer on the sense that if, let's say, Georgia only loses 1 game and it's at Tennessee, I still think they make the playoff regardless because of who they are.
And the fact that the committee will want to give them this storyline opportunity to go back to back.
I think he's right, though. Say Tennessee's struggling. Say they're a 7-5 type team. You lose to that Tennessee team.
Well, then, in my opinion, they would still make the SEC championship game in Atlanta and would have the opportunity to redeem themselves. What Palmer was saying is, let's say Tennessee is Tennessee like of last year, and let's say that game will decide who's the SEC East champion, then Georgia may get left out. That's what he was trying to say.
It all depends on Tennessee.
But I would think the committee would do everything in its power to give them the opportunity to try it.
Yeah.
Because that's a storyline. It's a little bit like winning the Triple Crown in horse racing. You want to give it every opportunity.
Yeah. I mean,
look, I don't think they were the better team the night they beat Ohio State. I thought it took a miracle for them to win, but then they just absolutely took TCU. By the way, they just scored 2 minutes ago against TCU. It's now 77-7.
For as good as they are, if they were in the SEC West, I think we'd have a different feeling about them repeating this year. I think it would be less of a chance if they were in the SEC West, but because they're in the East is the easier side of the two. I think we really feel good about
put it back
their
up.
chances.
They don't play Alabama in the regular season. They don't have to deal with LSU. I mean,
Auburn and Ole Miss, those are their West opponents.
Yeah, the question will be, can Hugh Freeze have Auburn at a competitive enough level to go toe-to-toe, at Auburn?
They're catching Auburn first half of that schedule, which is probably a benefit for Georgia. I don't know that you want to play that Hugh Freeze Auburn team late in the season.
Not saying they're going to be good, but you don't have to play Texas A&M,
That's another one.
who has talent. So
in a big old stadium.
Correct.
And a history of ambushing people at Kyle Field. Okay, I know we got to go to the break. Stat of the day next, and then an unusual 3 o'clock hour with some different kind of stuff that you may enjoy. At least we hope so. Stay tuned.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rock Castle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or eric@rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication. And we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports, and then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. It is time for Saturday on a Friday. No Kelly Holcomb here today. George is going to have to ride solo. Saturday presented to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards, located in Shelbyville, Tennessee. 204 East Depot Street is where you can find them. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So give them a visit. You can give them a call also at 931-492-4304. To the association we go. Jamal Murray finished with 23 points in the fourth quarter of last night's Game 2 win against the Lakers. It was his fourth career 20-point game in the playoffs in the fourth quarter. Fourth time in his career he scored 20 points in the fourth quarter, the most of any player over the last 25 years. Can you name the last player to play in the NBA with multiple 20-point fourth quarters in their playoff career?
Who knows? I mean, this is a total crapshoot.
Shot in the dark.
Total shot in the dark. I mean, the easy one would be to say Michael Jordan.
He did do it, but he wasn't the latest to do it.
Wasn't the latest to do it. So I at least get like honorable mention.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's good.
Third team.
At least I get something. Kobe?
Oh, you going with it? Or
I'm going with Kobe.
Okay.
I'm not talking through it.
Should I I feel sorry for him and give him grace, or
just hit the answer?
Reveal.
Whatever. Same to you.
It is Allen Iverson.
Oh, well, now I'll say
AI.
this. Practice.
We talking about practice?
Practice. I saw the clip recently. Practice.
Practice.
It's the way he said it. And I don't know if he meant.
Who was the reporter? I would have loved to.
Well, it was in a press conference. And somebody asked him a question. I don't know what the question was, but all of a sudden he goes, "We're talking about practice." It was the facial expression and then practice.
As the reporter, you just got to laugh.
It was hilarious. So I'm going to take a few moments here as we get into the 3:00 hour and give you an observation. You don't have to agree with it. You can disagree with it, but this is my opinion. A couple of years ago, the NHL was finally able to make the breakthrough and get on ESPN. Up until then, ESPN acted like the NHL was a leper colony. They never mentioned them. They never talked about them. And so the belief was, okay, not only will some games get on levels of television that everybody knows where to find them, but surely to goodness, ESPN will now acknowledge that it's a real sport and talk about it. ESPN has had a habit of saying, if you're not on the worldwide leader, screw you, it doesn't exist, right?
That's how it's been.
Okay. So last night, the NHL, not that any of you saw the end of it, but the NHL had a 4 overtime game. And the game winning, and there it is, when Florida won in Carolina, it was like in the last 90 seconds of the 4th overtime. It was about to go to the 5th. Now, help me with this. The game ended, Carolina, I'm guessing Raleigh is on Eastern time, right?
Yeah, I heard it ended about 2 a.m. Eastern.
Okay. I got into the 3rd overtime with them.
Okay.
Feel good about that. Good self-esteem. So this morning, one of the shows that I really enjoy watching is Get Up. I think Greeny is a terrific host, and they just are able to just throw so many different experts at you. Marcus Spears, Swagoo has a great sense of humor. I just think they're terrific, all of them. But today, you've got an NBA game that was tremendous. You have an NHL game that was tremendous. And so I'm sure as Gary Bettman got out of bed in his palatial mansion and turned on ESPN, he probably said to himself, man, they're going to talk a lot about a 4 overtime game that went deep into the night. Good luck.
This just in.
They spent in the 7:00 hour 2 minutes. 2 minutes. No real commentary, just simply here's the game winner. And oh, by the way, it's the 6th longest game in NHL history. No, we're going to this expert to talk about the Florida Panthers and how they're, becoming the Predators of 2017. They beat Boston. They beat Toronto. Now they're about to try to beat Carolina. They're a pretty amazing hockey story. And ESPN this morning just gave it a big. That's what basically they did. 8:00 hour, same deal. Truthfully, the PGA got more airtime this morning on that show than the NHL playoff game. That's got to be very disturbing to Gary Bettman.
Do you think that's the Lakers effect of, they're the darlings of the NBA? They're a franchise that are national.
There's
Lakers fans all over the place.
That's some of it for sure.
It's also the NHL, they're lucky to be on ESPN.
Well, they are.
I mean, they show the games, but, they're not going to spend more than 2 minutes talking about a final, that went 4 overtimes. And I'm not saying that's right. I think they should have spent more time on it. But, I mean, ESPN's sort of sitting there saying, hey, we've got your games on. We've got pregame and postgame content.
What they're basically saying is, we'll put your games on because TNT's got the other series, and so we'll use your inventory when we need it. But if you think we're really going to talk about it, think again.
Yeah, and I don't know if Gary Bettman has anywhere to speak on. I mean,
he really doesn't have any moves to make.
Right.
What analyst was on the call last night for that game? Or what analysts does ESPN have that talks NHL during the studio breaks?
Barry Melrose. Is PK Subban?
Yeah, I have not seen Melrose in a while.
PK Subban would be dynamic. He's got a great personality as it is.
Yeah.
We got another older former player. I forget his name, but I mean, it's good content.
Mark Messier.
Yeah, Mark Messier.
You would have thought they would have had some semblance of this was a hell of a game. Let's talk to the NHL guys. Go.
Yeah.
And instead,
nothing. I'm sure the guys who were on the call for the game were in bed sleep, recovering from that output of the game last night.
Well, they were TNT.
And
that was TNT.
The ESPN has so many NBA guys. They've got so many NFL guys. The only NHL guys they've got are the guys in studio. And like you said, George, I haven't seen any of Barry Melrose on any of their content. So I think for ESPN, if the NHL wants to say something, they might say, hey, hire a couple more analysts in the studio for after these games in the studio, give them some airtime, right? I don't think they have enough personalities on ESPN that talk NHL.
Maybe I'm the only person that's noticed it, but for me, it was a real slight at what is now a media partner of theirs, where they just said,
yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do tonight. Tonight's game, Western Conference Finals Game 1, is on ESPN to see what kind of coverage they dictate going up to puck drop, because you got the NBA game tonight. So I know on SportsCenter at 5 o'clock hour, it's going to get all the storylines. So
okay, we'll go to the break on that. It's just one person's opinion, although it may be Gary Bettman's as well. After the break, we're going to debut something that who knows how it's going to go. Ask the director. These two clowns have got questions for me when we come back. This ought to be interesting. Stay tuned.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
You know, if we did Ask the Director on radio, I could just sort of kick back and, take the rest of the day off and, but it's television. It's a little different. You got to get the tray tables in their upright positions. So we're going to find out what these two want to ask me in the world of sports. And let's see where we go with it. William, you will have the first question.
All right, here we go, George.
These better be good.
Oh, they're going to be good.
Uh-huh.
So we got the NBA playoffs still rolling on, NHL as well. From your perspective, not the average fan, not, just a nobody who doesn't even watch sports, but for you, what playoffs have been more entertaining so far up to this point? The NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs?
Let me say this. I think the true answer is it's a lot closer than most people would think. I think there have been some incredibly compelling storylines. For instance, in the NHL, which very few people will say it's the NHL. But in the NHL, the team with the greatest record all time, Boston Bruins, wins 65 games in the regular season. Hell, they didn't get out of the first round. They got smoked in overtime by the Florida Panthers. The Panthers then prove this is no fluke. They go to Toronto, which is the most passionate fan base you'll find. They smoked the Maple Leafs. And then last night, this morning, at 2 a.m, they smoked the Carolina Hurricanes in Game 1. I mean, that's an unbelievable storyline that franchise is pulling off right now. Keith Tkachuk is their leader, and he's really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's an unbelievable storyline. But the problem is sort of what I pointed out earlier, and that is whether you like it or not, ESPN dictates so much of what the general public consumes these days. They are a monopoly. And you can call it what you want.
They're the cat
But when
daddy.
Fox decided that they were going to go up against them in the Sports Center kind of world, ESPN put them to bed and put them under real early. Remember when they had that stupid show?
What show?
The show that competed with Sports Center? Fox had? You don't even remember it.
No.
Well, that's how much impact it had.
What was it? What did they call it? I can't remember.
Anyway, my point is ESPN drives you so heavily to LeBron in the NBA that even if the NHL has better storylines, you'd never know it. But the true answer is it's a lot closer than you would think. Yeah, it's easy. LeBron going after a fifth. Jokic. Jimmy Butler. God, could any human being have a better playoff than Jimmy Butler? I mean, there are a ton of storylines, but the NHL's not far behind if you're watching every night, and I am.
Turn on the NBA, the NHL playoffs in overtime. I mean, that's an experience. It is. You just don't know what's going to happen. That's why I love it so much.
Now let's go to question number 1 from David.
I think my question's a little better. We'll get some perspective on here.
So you had to write yours out?
Well, I just wanted to get it correct.
Okay.
So, George, we have 5 openings for head coach in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit, Toronto, Milwaukee, Phoenix, and Philadelphia. If you were Monty Williams, Doc Rivers, Mike Budenholzer, which job is most attractive for you?
Okay, let's run the good question, by the way. Much better than his.
What about mine?
Okay. Seriously, though, let's think about this for a minute. The openings are Detroit. Eliminate that one. Toronto only because they're north of the border and they don't get a lot of attention. Now let's get to the 3 that are really serious. Milwaukee. Phoenix.
Philadelphia.
Okay.
You have young stars.
Okay.
Both all 3 stops.
Philly's got issues. Number one, I think Philly as a franchise has serious mental baggage. Some of the same mental baggage is starting to develop in Milwaukee. Even though they have won a title, there's sort of this, they got knocked out in the first round. They fire Budenholzer. How good is the supporting cast around Giannis?
I think there's questions on, is he going to want to be there long term and sign an extension?
That's another one. Now in Phoenix, I think you've got, I don't know, it's just a strange chemistry. Durant, who no longer ever smiles in this world, has a little Aaron Rodgers to him.
Do you think he's content? I know this is not my second question, but do you think he's content after winning those 2 rings in Golden State that he's done enough for his legacy? Or do you feel like he has that hunger to win another one?
I don't know, because the general public kind of fairly or unfairly believes that his legacy was tainted by joining a group that was already stacked. And I don't know. I'm dodging the question a little bit. Toronto would appear to me to be the place where there's the least pressure because it's all heaped on the Maple Leafs. Philly is the most pressure. Milwaukee, what's Giannis's future? Phoenix, I mean, the easy one is Toronto.
That would be the job you would want.
No, the one I would want is probably Phoenix because they got a ton of talent.
Although you're not a James Harden guy, and he apparently wants to come join Kevin Durant in Phoenix. So
James Harden's a loser. Pure and simple. The guy's a dog. You hang around dogs long enough, you're going to get fleas.
All right, Billy, you're back up.
All right, here we go.
How are we doing so far?
I thought mine was better, but that's just personal preference. You admitted it. So.
I might give David that one.
Okay.
But here's my second one.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Heat and Celtics tonight.
Yeah.
Heat trying to go up 2-0. For Boston, if they lose this series and fail to get to the finals, would that be the biggest disappointment in their franchise's history, but also in the NBA playoff recent history? Because
no.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, when you say that, you're acting like they're an overwhelming favorite to win the NBA title, and they're not.
That's what I'm hearing from.
Oh, well, you can hear it all you want. Denver's better.
Think
Denver's the better team.
I'm just saying in this series.
Yeah, look, I mean,
like how much of a just kind of a choke, they blew it.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Okay. For anybody thinking that, Jimmy Butler's already pulled this on Milwaukee. Jimmy Butler easily won the Knicks series. This is no longer a fluke, what Miami's doing. Miami is for real. And so Boston will get a little bit of a free pass on that kind of talk because Jimmy Butler, if he beats the Celtics, will have gotten all the way to the finals. And there are people on that roster nobody's ever heard of.
No, undrafted guys.
Yeah.
I mean Max Strus and Gabe Vincent knocking down big threes for the Heat. So, no, I just wondered because, there's a lot of, people talk about the Celtics and how, they should win the title this year.
I don't think I don't think, Billy, it's the biggest disappointment even in these playoffs. To me, it's Milwaukee.
Think Milwaukee's bigger?
Yeah, I mean, they were a 1 versus an 8, and they got beat in 5. It's not like they took it to 7. And of course, we don't know how the Celtics series is going to end, but I know this: Boston better win tonight.
So you're giving more credit to the Heat here and just saying,
yeah,
look,
I mean,
Jimmy Butler is the real deal.
Because this is now the 3rd series in a row that he's been pulling this.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of that game, what didn't he do? What play didn't he make? He steals the ball. He gets into the lane and feeds it to the open 3. He then takes it on himself. I mean, the guy he does everything but sell programs.
He's a freak. He's legit. David, you ready?
David.
Yeah, I'm ready. I want to transition away from this NBA talk, and let's go to MLB, which we love, George. I don't know about Billy, but we love the MLB. I want to talk about the Cardinals, and I know you guys mentioned this last week with Danny Evans. The Cardinals, which are, a great organization, top to bottom, first class and everything they do, they've been in the news the last couple of weeks with,
Wilson Contreras.
Yeah, Yadier Molina retiring last year, giving them a year notice, saying, I'm leaving and walking out of the door. One of the best defensive catchers in MLB history. They go out and sign Wilson Contreras this past offseason, 5 years, $87 million. But they realize, well, he's not the best defensive catcher. Well, I think we all knew that coming in. He's more of an offensive profile of a catcher. I want you to talk about that dynamic of, you sign a guy in free agency and you're saying, basically, we made a mistake, year 1 of a contract. Our pitchers don't get along with him. They rather have somebody else catch. We might move him to the outfield. Just talk about that dynamic.
Okay, first of all, there's a lot of pressure in St. Louis for baseball to work because the Blues didn't make the playoffs. Downtown St. Louis is not what it used to be, and that's a city that's downtown economy. Just simply, it's built around the Cardinals. It's a city where baseball was always king. Even when pro football was in St. Louis, baseball mattered more. Not many cities you can say that, but it was true in St. Louis. So a couple of things have happened. The Cardinals are off to a miserable start. And all of a sudden, this narrative has gotten out about Wilson Contreras. And clearly some pitchers have gone to media people as anonymous sources and said, we got a catcher, doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, shame on them for doing that. They've thrown a teammate under the bus to the point that in national TV broadcasts, this has been discussed a bunch. And it's really unfair to this kid. What is going to end up happening in St. Louis is that a young manager is going to get fired if this does not change dramatically and soon. Because what you've got is a clubhouse divided. Okay, they're probably a group of players pissed off at the pitchers who have anonymously gone to media and said Wilson Contreras doesn't know what he's doing. Then you've got the other group that's happy that all this yapping's going on. The manager, in my opinion, has lost control of the clubhouse. And if there is not a dramatic turnaround in St. Louis around the All-Star break, there will be a managerial change.
And that's so crazy to me because we're just a third or fourth of the way into this season. It's a long haul. These guys spend so much time together on the road. As a manager, I don't know how you sit there and get through this. You have to say something to the club.
I think, well, let me say this. I don't know what's going on there, but I would assume that he has held some sort of a meeting and said, whoever's doing this ought to be ashamed
and
that they have put this kid in this position. But the Cardinals are 19-26. They are last in the National League Central in a joke of a division.
That's the worst division in NL.
They could still win it, even though they're dead last. Cincinnati and the Cubs are only a game ahead. Pittsburgh's 4 games ahead of them, and Milwaukee's the leader. But if there's not a dramatic change in St. Louis, there's going to be a managerial change.
Part of this has to be on the front office. You knew what he was in free agency. He's been in the league with your rival, the Cubs, for years now. You know that he might not be the best defensive catcher. He's not even close to what Yadier Molina was for you for over a decade.
I guess if I could have 5 minutes with one player on that team, the guy that I think is the voice of reason in that dugout, it's Adam Wainwright. I would love to know what he thinks, because it looks like a clubhouse big time divided. So how did Ask the Director work? How do you all think it worked?
Well, I mean, it was a lot of NBA talk. I think we spread it around. Maybe we could have spread around the questions a little bit better, but I'm glad David fired an MLB question at you.
Was there another question you almost asked me?
I was going to ask, is this Vanderbilt team an Omaha team in your mind?
Well, only time will tell. Today, they look like they're falling apart.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't pretend to know what's going on there.
I tweeted last night, this team doesn't deserve to host a regional at this point.
Well, they're going to, because what they've done in March and April has
Right.
earned them that possibility
But
or
the way
that probability.
just the way they're playing right
Yeah, and they don't seem to have a lot of spark. That was the thing I noticed last night. I didn't see a lot of fire.
I looked over into the dugout, and it's
Yeah,
pretty
it
dead.
looks it looks a little dead.
It's a big mental block, I think, right now that they've got to get past.
We'll go to the break and then plaster bets of the day. There are 4 of them. Big betting weekend. Stay tuned.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to AlacoFineWoodFloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Welcome back in final segment on a Friday. George can't rip me because it's not Strider Day, Billy.
I was gonna say,
keep it moving.
Is it Strider Day?
No, it's not. Strider Day was the other day. Well, he didn't look so good out there in Texas. Plaster Better Today presented to you by Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. They are simply put.
What was that law
Bart
firm?
Durham Injury Law Firm.
You had a little problem with injury, didn't you?
Injury.
Didn't come out quite the way it's supposed to.
We like them. We need them.
There's not an L in that. Injury.
Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. They are simply put the best in the business. They are lawyers you can trust. So give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. Not a good night last night for Plaz.
Not a good night for Plaz.
Oh, you know what? This is one time I'm going to give myself a free pass. To beat me, you had to go 4 overtimes to 2 o'clock in the morning.
Should we call Kelly and see what he has to say about this?
Hold
I'm
on.
surprised he
Since
didn't
when do you
text
get
me.
a free pass?
Well, come on. I mean, 4 overtimes to beat me? How about a half point in the basketball game? Let's not act like I got just smoked.
Well, no. In the basketball game, you kind of got lucky. The Lakers.
I got lucky to get close.
Lakers kind of choked it down the stretch.
But Carolina should have won.
So you woke up in the morning not
Pissed.
happy.
Pissed off.
That would have been funny
Okay,
at 1
so-
a.m. Joe.
He's bouncing back this week.
So we're at 500, and I want to get over that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've gone with 4 plays on the weekend.
I got him in chronological order.
Okay. Let's start tonight at TD Garden.
Sounds good to me.
Do I think the Celtics are going to win? Yes. Do I think they're going to cover 9? 2 words. Jimmy Butler.
Playoff Jimmy.
Playoff Jimmy keeps them close. Every time people think they've got Miami on the ropes, they keep coming back. There is something about this bunch that is really good. Miami's not going to win, but they are going to cover.
Another 2 words, 2-word phrase here. Eric Spoelstra. Coach Spo deserves Coach of the Year.
Pretty damn good coach.
He's never been Coach of the Year, and that's the
And
most
that's a crime.
disturbing thing.
That's a crime.
What's up next?
Okay, the hockey game tonight, I'm going Vegas simply because they're at home. Vegas will press the issue. Dallas will try to keep it a low-scoring game. Vegas will try to go the other way and really push tempo. It's a lot easier for Vegas to push it at home than it is in Dallas. Home field tonight, Vegas over Dallas.
Dallas
Might be a
has
much
their-
different story when they go to Texas.
Dallas has their number this season. We'll see where that goes.
Please.
I can't comment on this. I haven't watched. I haven't watched neither of those two teams. So I'm gonna root with George.
So hold on a second. I mean, the playoffs have been going on now for over a month. You haven't watched either of these
I've been
teams?
watching.
He's been watching the Braves.
and the Braves. When the Braves are on,
Look,
George, I'm
all
glued
for
in.
the get a second TV, get a clicker, click around.
When the Braves are on, it's the Braves.
It's the Braves.
I mean, look, I'm in there too, but
We
you
don't
got to
have
click around.
We don't have the 3 TV setup
Well,
like you.
fine. That's why you have a remote control.
The remote clicker.
And during commercials, you click around.
I'll try that.
Keep that in
Good.
mind.
Okay. Tomorrow night, we got 2 that are must-win deals, and both of them are going to win. Carolina at home. It took four overtimes last night to beat them. It took into the wee hours of the morning to beat them. Do I think they're losing a second consecutive home game? Absolutely not. Carolina's going to make you look good and win you some money.
Not so fast, George. I don't like that pick. I think
I don't care whether you do or not.
After the loss, you lose a game like that goes into 2 a.m. and you're like,
But
man,
see,
how did we lose
Here's
that?
the thing, though.
It's hard to get up off the mat.
Can you go back to the graphic?
Sure thing.
Put the graphic up there. Do you see Billy's name anywhere?
I don't have it.
Billy's bet of the day?
This is a free country, George.
No, I understand. But what I'm saying is I have to live with the consequences.
I don't.
If, for instance, if I was 0 and 359, you'd have that up there, wouldn't you?
Yep, I would.
Yeah. So I live with the consequences. You just sit back there, and just you and Kelly just yap away and,
Watson used to be able to convince you to change your pick, but me and Kelly don't have that power.
No, absolutely not. Then the last one. Okay. Now everybody's all over Denver. Denver. And they're really good, and they're going to win this series. They're just not going to win tomorrow night in Los Angeles. This is where all the stars show up. Jack invites all his friends to sit on the front row. It will be a sea of electricity in that arena. That will help LeBron. It will help the Lakers. What's the kid's name? Hachimura?
Rui Hachimura.
Start him. For God's sakes, he never misses.
Yeah, Jared Vanderbilt doesn't provide them anything offensively.
They need Tristan Thompson somehow to get up off that bench and get on the court.
They need people who can score.
They don't have any big, but their only big body is AD and maybe Rui Hachimura. Jokic has dominated. I mean, he has done whatever he has wanted to do.
In my little crystal ball, LeBron has listened to all this stuff this morning.
Oh, he's been watching.
Too old. He can't hit any threes.
He's washed.
He's going to hit a three real early, and that is going to fuel the whole thing. Lakers are going to win, and they're going to cover.
Boom.
We're going 4-0.
I like that.
Is that a guarantee?
No.
Take it to the bank?
Good Lord, no.
Okay.
No.
Hasn't had too many guarantees this week.
No bookets.
Carolina was his guarantee, and they let us down last night.
They really did.
Kelly would have had a field day today.
To hell with Kelly. I mean, I can't worry about his sniping and second guessing, but you need to worry about it.
Kelly will snipe anybody. He doesn't care.
Here's the thing. Kelly's criticisms, I pay no attention to, but they have rattled you to your core.
Maybe early on.
He started to kiss up to Kelly, if you noticed that so far.
You're absolutely right. Thank you, David.
It's David's one to talk.
I don't kiss up to Kelly.
We're out of here.
The kindred spirit. Come on.
Kelly will rejoin us on Monday, and then we'll find out who really is kissing up to him. All of you drive safely wherever you're going. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday.